Alrighty, here's your lesson 24 homework help video. I just want to give some pointers on a couple of these problems here because I know with squaring with negatives can get a little tricky. So when it comes to number 1 and number 2 here, I'm going to expand number 1 just to show you and remind you kind of how we're going to solve this problem. So when I have negative 7 to the second power, notice how the exponent is on the outside. That means that exponent is going to be talking to everything on the inside, just like what we talked about in class. Today, during this lesson, how we will expand negative 7 to the second power is just like this. Negative 7 times negative 7. And from there, you should be able to evaluate that expression. Number 4 is very similar to number 1. Very similar, but be careful with number 2. Notice how the negative sign is on the outside. So that negative sign stays on the outside, and we expand the inside, which is 7 times 7. So I would be very careful with that when it comes to problems 1, 2, 3, and 4. Problem number 5, be very careful of this little pesky negative right there. And on number 6, I just want to give you a tip here. So we have 12 and 1/4. Take away 12 times negative 2/3. Now, I don't like to subtract, so I'm going to add the opposite here. So I have negative 12 times negative 2/3, and so you need to count the number of negative signs right here. You need to ask yourself, is this positive or negative? For number 7, this is a very similar problem to number 6. Don't subtract, add the opposite. And from right here, you need to ask yourself, is this positive or negative? Number 8, go ahead and expand it just like problems 1 through 4. Now 9, 10, 11, and 12 are a little bit tricky, so be sure to take some time here. On number 9, you need to expand this portion. Remember, 4 to the third power is the same thing as 4 times 4 times 4. That's all the help I'll give you for number 9. Number 10, however, is kind of tricky. If you remember from the lesson, I told you that I wasn't going to give you problems like this, but the math book is going to give you one, so I'm going to help you out here. So that negative sign is not going to be affected by that exponent. So the expanded version of this is going to be negative 2 times 2 times 2. That's going to be the expanded version of that. 11 and 12, these are just division problems here. And do I like to divide fractions? No, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Don't forget to multiply by the reciprocal. And here's my other hint to you. Remember order of operations. Do these parts first. I would evaluate this one first and this one first. So these first. And I would even rewrite number 12 to look like number 11 if that would help you even more. 13 and 14 here, you just need to look at your exponents and determine whether or not it's going to be a positive or negative product. So that's your lesson help for lesson 24. Take your time and you'll be successful.